Hey guys, Dan here from Draft Demacia. One of the questions that we've gotten the most so far is what exactly is a fantasy sports league? A lot of people have never actually played fantasy football or fantasy hockey or fantasy baseball or any of the fantasy leagues that are out there currently. So I figured it'd be a good idea today to show you, or explain to you rather, exactly what a fantasy sports league is and how Draft Demacia Sports League works. This includes the lineups for your rosters, and I will explain how the scoring is done. So let's go ahead and move on here. So for the brief overview of fantasy sports, you basically act as an owner of a team. You draft players to your team based on how well you think those players that you're drafting, like Odd One or St. Vicious or not Hotshot GG, Reginald, how they're going to perform during the season. Players earn their stats based off of how well they do in the real LCS matches that occur. So for example, if on Thursday TSM plays Dignitas and Dyrus gets 6 kills in that match, Dyrus is going to give you 6 kills. After these stat categories are all added up, at the end of the week, you compete against other owners to see who built the best team. And you do that by being assigned points. They're distributed on a weekly basis, matching the weeks of the LCS, so I believe the second split of the LCS summer is 10 weeks, so there'll be 10 weeks of scoring, and your team is stacked up against other teams based on 6 different categories. At the end of the season, or after 10 weeks, the owner of the team that has the highest amount of points wins that league. So moving on here, we'll start with lineups and active players versus bench players. So players gain their stats based off how well they perform in the real matches. In order for a player to earn points for the matches that they play in the LCS, however, you must have them in an active slot on the My Team page in the rosters before the LCS match actually starts. So basically, you can just move them up from the bench to active and save it. And as long as your rosters are set up before the LCS matches start, whatever stats those players earn in an LCS match will be transferred and will show up under this active player table. So if I can tab over to the site here, we can see I can go to my team, and so for example, let's say TSM plays this week, so obviously I want to put Reginald up on my rosters, or not this week but that day. So let's say it's a Thursday, it's the North American LCS, TSM's playing, I want to put in Reginald. Let's say that GGU, which I think their new name is Team Coast now, is not playing on Thursday. So obviously I would want to put in my other jungles instead of Nintendo Dex because their team isn't playing that day. And that's basically it. That's the whole concept behind active and bench players. If you have players on the bench and they play that day, you will not get points for how they show. Their stats will still show up, but they will not be calculated at the end of the week into your point total. So tabbing back over to the PowerPoint presentation here. You have to set your lineups before the matches start. Once matches start, the rosters become locked. So once you log into your account on the home page, you'll see a little area where it says upcoming roster lock times. Right now it's set to be determined, but I believe it starts on June 12th this summer for the Summer LCS North America. So there will be a time posted there that you have to have your active players sorted out before that time period. Once that time period is reached, the rosters will become locked. A lock icon will appear next to the word roster on the My Team page, and during this time period when matches are actively being played, you are not going to be able to edit your rosters, so get them in before the matches start. When the LCS matches are finished for that day, the rosters will be unlocked and you'll be able to move your players around in preparation for the next day's matches. So let's say TSM plays on a Thursday, you put your active player Reginald up into the active player slot, the rosters become locked. Once all the matches are over, they get unlocked, and let's say on Friday TSM isn't playing, so obviously you'll want to move Reginald off and put whoever you can in on your team that is playing that day. So a key thing to note is that scoring may not appear immediately. A snapshot of your rosters are taken when the rosters become locked, and that will be used to compare against the stats for scoring. So you may not see the stat totals update in real time. So let's say TSM plays a game and Reginald gets 6 kills. if you tab back over to the Draft Demacia site, it's not going to be real time. You're not going to see 6 kills there. It's going to take a little bit of time to update, but it will be updated, and we save the snapshots to use for scoring. So at the end of the LCS week, scoring will be totaled, and the week 2 will become active. So you can go back and view week 1 to see how you did in week 1 and which players did well, which players did bad. Maybe if you have two teams that are playing that week, but different junglers. If someone's been on a losing streak, you might want to put a different jungler in that place. So moving on, scoring. So the whole concept behind scoring, it's actually the number one question we've gotten so far is how does scoring work? So our site's built off of roto-style scoring that's used by ESPN and Yahoo for fantasy hockey. It's a pretty well-balanced scoring formula. I haven't had any issues with it in the past 4 years that I've been playing fantasy hockey. And I'm going to try to lay it out as easy to digest as possible. Sometimes the formulas can get a little, hard to understand, but I'll do my best. So scoring works for the 6 categories. So you have kills, deaths, assists, wins, minions slain, and total gold. Scoring for the week is done by comparing these different stat categories and the rank in which you place within that category. The maximum number of points that you can earn is equal to the number of scoring caddies within a league multiplied by the number of teams in the league. Similarly, the lowest number of points that a team can earn is equal to the number of scoring categories multiplied by 1, which is the lowest score that can be achieved in any category. So let me explain that a little further. So take, for example, the following. With a league, let's say this is a league size of 6 users. So we have Akalon on Dyrus, he has 15 kills. Dario on Soas has 14. Big White Goon on Wicked has 10. B4ug on Niantanso has 8. Violent Betty, Voyboy has 4. And Pendot Kiwi Kid has 2. So in the example above, Akalon had the most kills at the end of that week. So because he's in a 6-person league, he would get 6 points for the kills category. Dario is next up with 14 kills, so he would get 5 points. Big White Goon gets 4, B4ug gets 3, Violent Betty gets 2, and Pendot gets 1. So what happens when there's a tie? What happens if Akalon and Dario both had 15 kills? So in the case of a tie, each team involved receives an average of the total points that are due. So in the above example, if Akalon and Dario were tied for first in the kills category, each of them would receive 5.5 points. So if they're both tied for first place, the points they would earn would be 6 and 5 respectively. So they get added up and divided by 2. Or if there's a 3-way tie for first place, they would get all added up. So it'd be 6 plus 5 plus 4 divided by 3, and that's the formula for that. So Akalon and Dario would get 5.5 points apiece. So this same scoring formula continues down for all 6 categories. So kills, deaths, assists, wins, minions killed, total gold. For the death category, the scores are counted backwards. So instead of whoever has the most kills getting 6 points, it's backwards. So whoever has the least deaths gets 6 points for that category. So it just goes backwards. So below are the maximum and minimum number of points that can be earned per week in the different league sizes. So a 10-user league, you can earn a maximum of 60 points per week and a minimum of 10. An 8-user league has a maximum of 48 points per week, and you can earn a minimum of 8. And in a 6-user league, in that example previously, you could earn a maximum of 36 points per week and a minimum of 6. So if Akalon would have gotten the highest kills, the lowest deaths, the most assists, the most wins, the most total gold, and the most minion slain, he won every single category, Akalon would get 36 points for that week. So a running total of your team's points is shown on the My League screen under the My Standings section. You can see down there in the picture at the bottom. So Mundo Goes Nowhere and Good Game Well Played, Draft Demacia, everyone in this list, you'll be able to see the running total of how many points they have. No matter what week it is, it'll show up. You'll be able to see the points change. Points change is basically if you did better or worse than you did the previous week. So let's say Akalon wins every single category in a 6-person league. He gets 36 points. But next week, he only gets 30 points. So his points change would show -6, because between the previous week when he had 36 and now when he has 30, he dropped 6 points. Points back column shows you how many points back you are from first place, and moves shows how many trades you have completed. I'll have another YouTube video that goes into more about moves at a later date. But thank you for watching. I hope this answered at least most of your questions about how scoring works. If you have any more, feel free to send us an email or post on Twitter or Facebook or contact us somehow, whether it's through a Reddit PM, and I will try to answer it as best as I can. Thank you guys very much.